The topic of today's video is how to accelerate your immigration process, especially if you're waiting for a visa. We get questions all the time from people at various stages of the immigration process who are stuck. People call us because their visa petitions are not being processed in a timely manner. They're not being able to get through the National Visa Center, or maybe they've gotten through the National Visa Center and they just can't seem to get an interview. And then, of course, we get people who are stuck in the dreaded black hole of administrative processing, which is a delay that happens uh, after the interview. Are you in the situation like this? If so, you're probably feeling super frustrated. You're probably not sure what to do. Maybe you are asking questions like, how long is this going to take? What steps can I take? Should I contact my congressional rep or my senator? What strategy is going to get my case moving? Should I call USCIS? Should I request an expedite processing? What about the visa bulletin? All these questions are running through your head, and we're here to answer your questions today. If you don't know me, my name is Joshua Goldstein. I'm an immigration lawyer in Los Angeles. Our firm also has offices in Boston. We are in the business of helping people have a better future, a future that involves being in the U.S. with their loved ones, pursuing their educational opportunities, trying to have a career in the U.S., which is what they want. All of these things. We're going to be answering questions from you. And we're also going to be here today with the amazing Halle. Why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey, Josh. Good morning. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me today. I'm so glad to be here. And that's a great topic. Accelerate your research journey today. Actually, I like today's topic because I think if there is a delay, why we should accept that? There are options and solutions that you might can use them to get your results sooner. And I'm the admin of immigration groups, guys. I'm so happy that I can help you with your immigration process. If you have any questions, as Josh mentioned, about how to prepare for the interview, what is the next step, and what documents you should bring to your interview, we would love to help you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And before we get started, I want to take a question from our friend on Facebook, Mohammed Abu Hassan. He says here, what about the October visa bulletin prediction for EB3 skilled workers? Now, today, this video is being made today on September 6th. Any day, we are going to have an announcement of the October visa bulletin. As you know, with the August 2023 visa bulletin, we saw severe and extensive retrogression. People whose cases were current wound up being years away from the finish line. And this was a source of a lot of tears and a lot of fear and a lot of frustration. So what's going to happen in October? Well, of course, no one knows what will happen in October or November with the visa bulletin. The visa bulletin is inherently unpredictable. It does not progress in a linear fashion. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't expect that the visa bulletin will follow that way. It jumps around. Sometimes it moves forward, sometimes it goes backward, and it's unpredictable. For example, if you petition for your husband or your wife and you're a green card holder, that case has been just as fast as for US citizens for the last few years. Now, with the August 2023 bulletin, it goes way back, and it's going to take those cases years and years longer, apparently. So, to answer your question directly, Mohammed, thank you for tuning in. What I predict will happen with the August 2023 visa bulletin for EB3 skilled workers. My prediction is that it's going to move forward significantly. It probably will be current for many of the categories that were current in July 2023. So if you were current in July 2023, then I think that it probably will revert back. And that has to do with the nature of the way visas are processed. None of this makes any sense, by the way, because the immigration system in the United States is absurd. That's my opinion after 20 years of practicing. The fiscal year that is assigned to the visa processing starts on October 1st. It starts on October 1st. And so that's why you see a lot of strange things happening around the end of the fiscal year, which is September. And that's why I think you're going to see things go back to becoming current on October 1st when they were current in July, because of the availability of visa numbers that's allocated per fiscal year. So maybe it's wishful thinking on my part, maybe it's me trying to be hopeful, but I predict that we're going to have good news with the October visa bulletin.
Oh, that would be great. Good to know that, Josh.
It's rare that we see good news when it comes to immigration, unfortunately. And I'm hoping that my prediction will turn out to be true.
We hope so. Perfect. I
All right,
received many questions
Holly,
for you.
tell me some questions. What's on people's minds?
Yeah, sure. The first questions that I received is that my mother applied for my brother 3 years ago, and he was 19 years ago. Sorry, he was 19 years old, but when I checked the SIAC website, I saw his category is F1 instead of IR2. So, why they didn't freeze his age?
Okay, as always, it takes me a minute to process these questions. It's like I'm kind of like an old computer that needs time to. So let me get this straight. A mother applied for a son, and at the time of application, the son was 19. And then what?
Yeah, and she's asking why his case is F1 instead of IR2, because IR2 is faster than F1.
IR2, what do you mean by IR2 and F1?
Yeah, IR2 means that the son of a U.S. citizen, but F1 is unmarried son, 21 years old.
Well, how old is the son now?
He was
3 years
19
ago, he's
years old 3 years ago. Yeah,
twenty-one,
about
22.
20, yeah.
Okay, I understand. So, let me see if I can answer this. When you petition, if you are a U.S. citizen, is she a U.S. citizen?
Yes, she is a U.S. citizen.
Okay, so if you are a U.S. citizen and you are petitioning for your child, your son or your daughter, you need to know that there are two things that can impact the case. Number one is that when your son or daughter turns 21, there is a process called aging out, where the child will no longer meet the definition of a child under the Immigration and Nationality Act and will become an adult or not a child. And the other thing is marriage. So if you get married, you're not going to be in the same category. So what people think is that your age at the time of application is what's significant, but that's not true. It's the age at the time of approval. Now, a petition for a son or a daughter is going to take a number of years, many years. It's very hard to predict. And it also depends on the country. If you're from the Philippines, Mexico, India, or China, it's going to take significantly longer than if you are from any other country in the world. So if your son or daughter turns 21 at any point during this process, they're going to age out. They're going to become a member of a different category. It's not that the child's age for this purpose is frozen at the time of the application. And sometimes people ask me questions and they say, wait a minute, I was approved before I was 21. And I'm like, really, you were approved? Tell me what happened. And like, well, we went to the interview and the officer said I was approved, but I haven't gotten my visa yet. You're not approved until the visa is in your hand. That's what approval looks like, until the visa is actually, in fact, issued. If the officer says, congratulations, you're approved, and you don't have your visa, you're not approved. If you get a piece of paper in the mail from USCIS that says approval notice, that's the approval of the visa petition, but that doesn't help you, because what we need in order to protect you from aging out, we need to make sure that you have the visa in your hand. Now, at this point in the conversation, most people say, Josh, well, what about the Child Status Protection Act, CSPA? Can't that help me? Now, I want to talk for a minute about the Child Status Protection Act. The Child Status Protection Act is a mathematical formula that protects certain people from aging out when their cases have been pending for a while. But whether or not a Child Status Protection Act, whether or not the Child Status Protection Act would protect someone from aging out depends on very careful analysis. And my assumption, and in most cases this turns out to be true, is that the Child Status Protection Act doesn't protect many people from aging out. It usually ends in disappointment when I do the calculation. So it's 21 or marriage are the two things that are going to impact you if your child is a beneficiary of a visa petition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course, that makes sense. Because you know that because many people think if the age of their son or daughter is under 21 when they apply and file I-130, the age will be freezed. But
No,
you're saying that,
it's the opposite.
yeah,
Yeah.
I see. اوکی let me translate that. دوستان عزیز، سوالی که پرسیدین این بود که خانمی که سیتیزن هستن برای فرزندشون که زیر 21 سال بودن درخواست دادن، ولی بعد از حدود 3 سال که در واقع کیسشون رو توی سیاک چک کردن دیدن که کاتگوری ویزاشون به جای IR2 F1 هستش و سوال شده که چرا سن فرزندشون فریز نشده. آقای جاش توضیح دادن که در زمانی که شما اپلای میکنین سن فریز نمیشه و زمانی که ویزا صادر میشه، حتی نه در زمان اینترویو، اون زمان هست که اگر شما ویزا رو دارین ولی تأخیری پیش میاد سن فرزند شما فریز میشه و زیر 21 سال نگه داشته میشه. ولی توی این سناریو که ایشون 3 سال پیش براشون درخواست دادن و الان بالای 21 سال هستن، متاسفانه مشمول بند CSPA نمیشن. Okay, that's great.
All right. Thank you for translating.
Of course.
So, what questions do people have out here?
Yeah, the next question is that my friend filed mandamus and he got extension. I haven't decided yet about my own case. My question is, how possible is that to get the visa after extension?
So the question is, someone's friend filed mandamus and they got an extension, and they want to know whether or not they're going to get an extension, or they really want to know whether the extension means that they're not going to get the visa approved. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So, first of all, let's give a little bit of background before we answer the question. What is a mandamus lawsuit? If you have an immigration case and you have filed the paperwork, you've paid the filing fee, you've done all the things you're supposed to do, the immigration service, the State Department, the embassies, the consulates, USCIS, they have a mandatory legal obligation to process your case within a reasonable period of time. Now, there is much debate over what a reasonable period of time actually is. We'll leave that aside for now and just say that when the immigration service fails to process your case within a reasonable period of time, you can force them to do their job. And you do that by suing them. You go to court and you file a lawsuit. It's called a writ of mandamus lawsuit. And it's a powerful tool. And we live in a world where the immigration agency is not doing its job. It's making people wait for years. I've been practicing immigration law for more than 20 years. I've never seen anything like this. This is highly abnormal. We see administrative processing delays. People who go to the interview, they deserve their visa. They go to the interview and they don't get anything. We also see people who are waiting years for their visa petitions to be approved, their waivers, really naturalization, green cards, really at every stage in the immigration process, there is a breakdown in the actual responsibility that the immigration agencies have to carry out. And mandamus is a tool to fix that. Now, before I get to my answer for the question, which I will provide, let's talk about how the lawsuit works. Well, we takes us about 2 or 3 weeks to prepare and file the lawsuit. After we file the lawsuit, the immigration agencies, the State Department, the consulates, the NVC, whatever it is, they have 60 days to respond, only 60 days. So once we file the lawsuit, eventually an assistant U.S. attorney will enter the case, and they have to respond to your lawsuit. And what they typically do is they ask for an extension of time to file a response to the lawsuit. That's because the case is pending for 60 days. And at that point, typically, we always agree to these extensions as a professional courtesy. We agree to a 30 or 60-day extension. And it's at this point, once an attorney has entered the case and begin looking at the facts of the case and getting the file open and see what's going on, this is the point where the magic happens. This is where things start to move. We talk in our office, we celebrate wins where people get approved, and we also celebrate movement. What does movement look like? Movement is when they ask you to do another medical exam. They send you a request for your passport. They send you an interview notice, something like this that indicates that there's positive movement on the case. So does an extension mean that you're going to get denied and you're not going to get the visa? Absolutely not. An extension is not a negative thing at all. And it's strange to say that because the purpose of the lawsuit, the mandamus lawsuit, is to make things go as quickly as possible. It's to solve the frustration and to really to give you a better life, because you want to be with your loved one and you want your loved one to get their visa, or maybe what's at risk is a scholarship or an educational opportunity. And the goal is to cut the delay in to make the delay go away so you can reach your immigration goal. And the extension seems like exactly the opposite of what you want. You want them to do their job right away. And here we are telling you that we're going to agree to let them have more time. It seems like a complete opposite of what you want. And it can be a source of a lot of frustration, but only if you don't understand the way the process actually works. The extension is there to give the agency time to do what it's supposed to do. It's during that second, that third and fourth month that most cases are resolved. Now, we have plenty of cases that get approved and processed before the 60-day month. They never even get an extension because they're processed and approved before the 60-day mark. And then we have other cases where people get an extension and sometimes they get another extension. So things may take a little bit longer. But typically, most cases require an extension, and most cases are resolved within 3 or 4 months. Now, sometimes when I tell people that, they don't like the answer because they want to be approved without an extension. They want to be approved in less than 60 days. And while it's possible to get approved in less than 60 days, that's a result that's not likely to come. You're probably going to get an extension if you do a mandamus lawsuit. You're probably going to get approved in 3 or 4 months. And now it's also important to point out something that I have to say, which is that not everyone who files a mandamus lawsuit gets approved. There are people whose cases are delayed that have serious problems that make them ineligible for approval. Um, and not everyone gets approved. Almost all the cases we work on get approved, but not everyone does. And I think it's important to point that out. I'm an attorney with integrity. I'm candid with people about what I can realistically do and what I can't do. And guaranteeing approval is not one of them.
Yeah, that's great, George. Thanks for explaining that for us. I think extension that might be a part of the process, and as you said that it's not a negative thing.
It's not.
Okay. Yeah, of course. دوستان عزیز، یکی از اعضای کانال ما پرسیدن که دوست ایشون mandamus فایل کرده بودن و کیسشون اکستنشن خورده، به همین خاطر ایشون هنوز برای کیس خودشون تصمیم نگرفتن که آیا mandamus فایل کنن یا نه. آقای جوش توضیح دادن که در واقع هر زمان که یک تأخیر غیر منطقی توی پرونده شما پیش میاد، شما این حق رو دارید که بخواید با سو کردن در واقع مقاماتی که مرتبط با این قضیه هستن درخواست کنین که سریعتر پرونده شما جلو بره. و راه حل هم mandamus هستش که بین 3 تا 4 هفته زمان میبره تا اون رو براتون فایل کنن و حدود 60 روز هم نماینده دولت وقت داره که بتونه به درخواست شما رسیدگی کنه. این هستش که با توجه به اینکه ایشون 20 سال هست این زمینه تجربه دارن و کیسای زیادی رو در واقع کمک کردن که از طرف mandamus ویزا بگیرن، تجربهشون میگه که اکثر کیسا بین 2 تا 4 ماه ویزا میگیرن. حالا کیسایی بوده بیشتر از 4 ماه، کیسای زیادی هم بوده که زیر 60 روز ویزا گرفتن و یک سری نشانه‌هایی هستش که پیشرفت مثبت توی پرونده رو نشون میده، مثل اینکه شما ایمیل از سفارت میگیرین که برای مصاحبه مجدد برین یا پاسپورتتون رو بفرستین و اینها نشون میده که پرونده شما داره به خوبی جلو میره و اینکه اکستنشن احتمالاً پیش میاد و برای خیلی از کیس اکستنشن میخورن ولی اصلا به معنی ریجکت شدن ویزای شما نیست، فقط به این معنی هست که برای رسیدگی پرونده شما وقت بیشتر نیاز داره. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I had a comment from Feleke. He said his case is really important and urgent, and he needs help. And I wanted to mention that if you do need help or you have questions, my team is ready to help you out, and you can reach us. The number is right above my head. It's 213-262-2000. Give us a call. You can set up a free case evaluation with our team, and if we can find a way to help you, we certainly will do that.
Perfect. And let me invite our friends to our Telegram channel as well. دوستان عزیز، ما یک کانال تلگرام داریم، آیدی هستش Visas for Iranians and شما میتونین رو جوین بشین، از پاسخهایی که آقای جوش به سوالات دوستان میدن استفاده کنین و سوالات خودتون رو برای ما بفرستین. Perfect.
I want to take a moment to address something that you and I talked about the other day. I became aware that there is a kind of like a fake lawyer. It's like a company that provides legal services, but they're not lawyers. And they work with the Persian community. And they are selling a service where they say that they're giving people priority treatment for the green card lottery. And they're telling people that they can pre-register for the green card lottery. And when I heard about this, I got so upset. People, applying for the green card lottery is a great idea. If you want a green card and you're eligible, it's free. There's an easy application. It's online. But you do not have to pay a company to help you do this. You don't. And there is no way to pre-register. There's a window of time for you to apply, and it doesn't help you at all to apply early or later. You can apply on the first day or the second day. It doesn't matter. And the second thing is that this company is providing legal services, but they're not licensed attorneys. So it's the unlicensed practice of law. They're selling you a service that they're not licensed to perform. And they're also falsely and misleadingly saying that they're going to help you with priority in a lottery. The lottery is a lottery. It's subject to chance. You put in your application, and if you're selected, it's something that's totally at chance. And there's no way that anyone can give you preferential priority treatment in a lottery. It'd be like if I told you that I was going to give you a lottery ticket that I bought, and I was going to sell it to you for twice as much as I paid because it had some sort of special priority treatment. It's a total bullshit scam. Don't fall for it. Immigrants get taken advantage of. And it makes me really upset to see that. And don't fall for the scam. Don't do it.
Perfect. دوستان عزیز، با توجه به اینکه تبلیغاتی شروع شده در مورد ثبت نام ویزای لاتاری 2025، آقای جاش اشاره کردن که متاسفانه خیلی از اینها تقلب هست و کاملا غیر واقعی هست. وقتی که یک شرکت مهاجرتی میاد اعلام میکنه که ثبت نام لاتاری شروع شده و شما اگر الان ثبت نام کنید اولویت پیدا میکنید، این کاملا غلطه. و لاتاری همونطوری که از اسمش مشخصه یک شانس به شما میده که بتونید برای اومدن به امریکا در واقع شانستون رو امتحان کنید و به هیچ عنوان هیچ شرکتی و تحت هیچ شرایطی نمیتونه بگه که اگر من بیام شما رو ثبت نام کنم این باعث میشه که شما اولویتی داشته باشین به ما بقیه شرکت کننده. Thanks for mentioning that, Josh. It's very important.
Yeah, I'm glad you translated that into Farsi, and hope the message gets out. It's not the first scam I've seen from people. And I guess if you're an immigrant and you're looking to hire a lawyer, whether it's me or my team or any other law firm, I think you want to be skeptical, and you want to ask yourself a few questions. The first question is this person an attorney licensed to practice law in a U.S. state? If it's not someone who's licensed to practice in the U.S. state, then they're not legally able to provide you with the services that you need. They have no insight, no skills, no knowledge, no training. The second thing I think you want to ask yourself if you're looking to hire a lawyer, you want to ask yourself whether the lawyer has considerable experience solving the particular problem that you're trying to address. And I think the other questions that once you've identified a lawyer, whether you should hire the lawyer really depends on two factors. One is, how important is it for you in your life to reach your immigration goal? How would you feel if you were able to reach your immigration goal? How would that impact your family, your financial situation, your health, your love life, your career? How would it personally affect you? How would that make you feel? And the second question you should ask yourself is, how would you feel? How would it affect your life, your personal situation, your career, your finances, your love life? How would it affect all of these things if you were not able to reach your immigration goal? And those are the two questions that we always ask everyone who's interested in becoming a client with ours, because we want to understand them better. We want to take the time to get to know them and to understand the importance of their immigration case. If your immigration case is of vital importance and it's going to have a massive impact on your life, then we're here to help, and we want to help you. We're not in the business of providing legal services. We are in the business of helping people have a better life, a better future in the United States. And that's really important. When you put it in those terms, you can really understand the value and the importance of our services and our work.
Perfect, Josh. Thanks for helping many Iranian families, in Iran because of our problems. Unfortunately, it's so common that someone without any license or any experience build a team and advertise for immigration to the U.S. And I'm so happy you clarify many things here and mention the myths that it's very common in the Telegram groups. So thank you so much. Okay, do you want me to
I do,
ask you the next
very much.
question?
Keep them coming.
Perfect. The next question is that should I bring the original signed I-864 form to the interview, or the online version is enough?
Okay, so the question is, should you bring a signed original copy of the I-864 to a visa interview, or is the online version enough, right? Okay, so I want to give you a bit of background and tell you how I think about this and the answer that I give to my own private clients. And I want to share this with all of the people watching. This is very, very important. This comes about through more than 20 years of experience and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of interviews and cases. So the most important rule when it comes to what documents to bring to an interview is to bring everything to your interview. Everything. Everything. So if someone says to me, Josh, here's a piece of paper, should I bring it to the interview? Without knowing what that piece of paper is, without knowing what the interview is, you have two choices. You can take the document that you are thinking about bringing to the interview and you can leave it at home, or you can carry it with you to an interview. Which do you think is a better strategy? Okay. Obviously, you bring every shred of paper that has anything to do with your immigration case to your interview. You leave nothing behind. If you go to your interview and the officer says, can I see this document? And you say, oh, I didn't know you were going to need that. I left it at home. If you say that, you screwed up. You did it wrong. Every document you bring with you. This is not an easy process. This is not forgiving. It's not like you can say, oh, yeah, well, I left it at home, so I'm going to go home and I'll bring it to you tomorrow. It's not like that at all. This is a magical moment. The officer has your case open. The officer has the approval stamp on her desk. You're standing in front of the officer. You want to get approved. You've got to have your ducks lined up. You got to have every single document that is required. You've got to have it. And there's no magic formula for what documents you're going to need. There's a level of uncertainty. So you have to bring every document with you. You have to bring every single document with you. Any document that might have any possibility of relevance should be brought with you. Should I bring my driver's license? Should I bring my old driver's license? Should I bring my, but wait, Josh, it doesn't say on the instructions that I need to bring this and this and this. Should I bring it? Bring it. It can't hurt. There are two possibilities. One, you bring a document and the officer does not ask you for that document. Great. And the second possibility is you do not bring a document and the officer asks you for the document. Now, which of those two scenarios do you think would be a better, more effective solution? You got to bring everything. You got to bring everything. Now, I notice I didn't answer the exact question. Is this particular document relevant and required for this particular scenario? That's because I really don't know exactly the details of it. And it doesn't matter, because when you understand the general directive, the general strategy for success, it becomes clear that you bring things with you. So if anyone asks me whether to bring a document to the case, whether it's necessary, I'm going to tell them to bring it. Bring everything.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I agree with you. I remember that when I went to go to Yerevan for my interview, I brought 1,000 papers and sheets to the
Bring
interview.
bring
Yeah,
2,000.
yeah,
Bring
and
10,000. Bring a whole truck of documents.
oh my god.
So
And,
whatever
yeah.
you need to do, bring bring it. Because if you go to that interview and they ask you for a document and you don't have that document and you left that document at home, oh, you may never hear from them again. We've got people who've been waiting in administrative processing for years. And the reason they're waiting is that they went to the interview and the officer asked them for this document or that document and they didn't have it and they sent it the week later and then they just forgot about them. And that happens. I'm not saying that's fair or that's right. I'm saying that as a practical matter, your job is to avoid that. If you go to your immigration interview and at the end of the interview that you had every document that the officer asked you for, then you have done the best you can do.
Perfect. Yeah, totally agree. You know that because the I-864 form that the sponsors signed that, um, they don't have access to send it to Iran. So I asked my sister to send that to my hotel in Yerevan, and then I got that from the reception. So it's kind of hardship to get the original documents.
Well,
So,
getting the original documents is what's required. And I'll give you another important point. When you get original documents, get 3 of them.
oh,
Why do you get 3 original documents? Well, it's just as easy to get 3 original documents as it is to get one, right?
yeah,
Well, you're going to need one for this interview. You may need one for something else later in life. Tracking the documents down is the hard part. Make sure you have original documents of everything when you go to your interview, your marriage certificate, your divorce certificate, all your criminal documents, your birth certificate, your children's birth certificates. Have them translated professionally into English if they're not in English, and bring all of those original documents to your interview always, because you don't know whether they may or may not be required. We just had one of our clients come to the interview and called me in an absolute panic the morning of his interview because he said, "Oh my God, I didn't know that my birth certificate would be needed, and I didn't even have it." And it created all this stress and all this tension right before that moment. And it's a violation of the basic principle that I believe that every person going to interview should take, which is that you want to be fully prepared. You want to have all your documents that are required. You want to have all original civil documents. You want to have all those ready so that when you go to your interview, you're not stressed. You're not like trying to get someone to send through DHL a document at the last minute and going to the hotel reception and trying to find it. Like that's not the stress level that you need when you're going into an interview. You want to be calm and collected and have everything that you need to know. Know that no matter what happens, you're there. You got it.
yeah, of course. You know that in Telegram groups, I see wrong information like that when someone is excited after the interview and he or she got the visa. They say that, okay, the interview was so easy, don't worry about the documents. The officer didn't ask me for any documents, so
Yeah.
it's a
Maybe
little
the
bit
officer
bad word.
won't. Maybe the
Yeah,
officer won't ask you for any documents. Maybe the
yeah.
officer won't ask you for any documents. And if the officer doesn't ask you for any documents and you bring all these documents that you didn't need, that's fine. What's the worst thing that can happen? You go home. But God help you if you go to the interview and the officer asks you for a document that you don't have. That's to be avoided at all cost.
Yeah,
Can't
perfect.
emphasize that enough. Yeah.
Sure. Then let me translate that. دوستان عزیز یکی از اعضای گروه پرسیدن که ایشون میخوان برن برای اینترویو و آیا فرم آی 864 رو بعد همراهشون داشته باشن یا نه فرمت امضا شده شو. آقای جاش توضیحشون هستش که همه مدارکی رو که شما آپلود کردین یا در واقع فرمت کاغذیش رو ازتون خواستن همراهتون ببرین. حتی اگر مدرکی رو شک دارین که ببرین یا نه حتما همراهتون باشه، چون که آفیسرها از متقاضیان مختلف مدارک مختلفی رو میپرسن، درخواست میکنن و اگر از شما مدرکی رو بخوان و شما نداشته باشین ممکنه کیستون AP بشه و ما دوستایی رو داریم که بیشتر از 1 سال توی AP هستن به خاطر در واقع کاستی مدارک و مسائل شبیه به این هستش که همه مدارک رو اصلش رو همراهتون داشته باشین و حتی اگر که یکی از مدارک رو 1 نسخه ازتون خواستن توصیهشون این هست که 3 نسخه همراهتون ببرین. Okay, that's great.
All right.
Let's go to the
More
next
questions.
one. Perfect. Someone asked us if I hire your team for rid of mandamus and they ask for extension, what would you do?
So, most of the time, we agreed to an extension as a professional courtesy. In my last answer, I explained why we do that and how it's an important part of the process. And if the clients understand the context and they get it, they understand how it works, then it's not something that they're disappointed by or they freak out about or they get discouraged from. They expect it. I'm going to get an extension. Now, after sometimes we agree to a second extension. At some point, there are circumstances when we would not agree to an extension. And that is if we don't think that the other side is acting in good faith, or we don't think that the U.S. Attorney's Office is actually doing any work on the case. There are cases where we have to actually fight them, where the lawsuit does not result in them processing the paperwork. Sometimes they dig in their heels and they say, we're not going to do anything. And they file what's called a motion to dismiss. And a motion to dismiss is where they make legal arguments and factual arguments where they say, look, we don't have to do anything. The delay is perfectly fine. We have a case recently where someone applied for asylum affirmatively in the U.S. with USCIS. 3.5 years have gone by. The person has not been interviewed. And we filed a lawsuit and said, this is absurd. This is unreasonable. You have to interview and make a decision within a reasonable period of time, and 3.5 years is not reasonable. And the U.S. Attorney's Office took the opposite position. They said that was not unreasonable. Well, there's no reason for an extension at that point. We have to fight about this. We have to litigate. And when that happens, we fight them. We go back and we fight them because we don't like it when immigrants, when people, hardworking people have done the right thing, they've done the process, they've been diligent, and the Immigration Service is not doing its job. We don't like that. We don't want that. And we won't let it happen. Not for our clients.
That's great. دوستان عزیز، یکی از اعضای گروهمون پرسیدن که اگر که تیم آقای جاش رو استخدام بکنن برای mandamus و کیس ایشون اکستنشن بخوره، در مقابل ایشون چه کاری انجام میدن و آقای جاش توضیح دادن که با توجه به تجربه زیادی که توی کیس mandamus دارن اکثر اوقات با اکستنشن موافقت میکنن، چون به این معنی هست که داره کار پیش میره و گاهی اوقات هم با اکستنشن دوم هم موافقت میکنن. ولی اگر ببینن که کاری روی کیس انجام نمیشه خب موافقت نمیکنن باهاش، ولی در همه حال استراتژی ایشون هست که متقابلا دفاع میکنن از کیس شما تا زمانی که ویزاتون رو بگیرید. ولی این یک نکته مهم هستش که همه کسایی که برای mandamus درخواست میدن و اقدام میکنن لزوما کوالیفاید نیستن که mandamus بگیرن. ولی اگر شما کوالیفاید باشین تا آخرین قدم آقای جاش دفاع میکنن و تا الان هزاران کیس هست که از طریق mandamus ویزای خودشون سر گرفتن. Amazing, that's great, Josh. Okay, I have lots of questions.
Okay, keep them coming.
Sure. The next one is that Can I pay for mandamus after getting visa? Is there any guarantees?
So when people contact us and say, okay, how much do you charge? It's very difficult for me to answer that question because, first of all, I don't even know anything about the person's case. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know what kind of case type they have. I don't know. Um, I don't know why they want to do it. What's the importance to them? I have to understand way more about the case details and about the person's personal life. I want to understand why this is important to them. What's the meaning of this case? How has the delay been impacting their lives? The basis of a mandamus lawsuit is that the delay has been unreasonable. And so I want to make sure that the person has a case that has merit. We don't file cases that suck, that don't have merit, where the court's going to say, come on, this is ridiculous. So before I can discuss the cost of our services, before I have to know more about the case. And furthermore, we don't take on every client just because they want to hire us. We're selective about the cases that we take on. There are people who come to us with delayed immigration cases, and for one reason or another, we decide that we don't want to work with them. We want to help everyone who deserves a visa and whose case has been unreasonably delayed. But before we get to the cost, we have to talk more about you, your case, and your life. Secondly, the prices that we charge are determined on a case-by-case basis, and the terms of payment are also something that we explore with our team. So if someone has questions about the cost and the terms of payment and all these sorts of things, then I think we would like to take a step back and start to understand more about them and their case. And by the way, we offer a strategy session with our team at no cost for anyone who's curious about this. And if you're interested, you can reach out. We have the link on our website. I'll put the link here where people can go out and they can go and they can check it out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect. That makes sense. And yes, I think the free valuation you have for the mandamus cases is essential because you want to make sure that the applicant case is qualified for mandamus. So,
Let me say
to
something
some,
else that's
go
important.
ahead.
Someone says, is it guaranteed to be approved? Anytime you hire a lawyer, whether it's me or it's anyone else, when you file a lawsuit, it is not guaranteed. People have hired us. Does the mandamus lawsuit work every single time, 100% of the time? It does not. And if you want a 100% guaranteed, no risk solution, I cannot offer that to you. These lawsuits are highly effective at helping people reach their immigration goal, but it's not magic. There are people who've hired us and have been disappointed. And I want everyone who is thinking about working with us or interested in hiring us to know that that's true. But that's also true for most important things in your life. When you file an immigration case, are you guaranteed to get approved? No, you're not guaranteed to get approved. When you go to college, are you guaranteed to get a good education? No, you probably will. If you go to a good school and you work hard, you will. But are you guaranteed 100%? No. If you get a job, are you guaranteed to have a successful career? No, you're not guaranteed. If you get married, well, we won't talk about that. But the point is, there's a degree of uncertainty with all important decisions in your life. We are very picky about the cases that we take on. We do our due diligence on every client's case to make sure that people have a great chance for a good result. And in most cases, the vast majority of our cases, we get great results. But I cannot give you 100% guarantee that you will be approved because you hire me.